This is Constant Elevation, the show for rising Air Force and community leaders who seek to define the future. Learn powerful work and life tactics to tackle any challenge. I'm your host, Gabriel Gabrock Avila. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Gabe Rock back on the mic once again. Hope you guys are enjoying your maybe going back to the normal grind, whatever that means for you. By this time, heading into the first full week of January anyway. Most of us have already returned from our holiday breaks and settling into our virtual online things with our kids if they're still doing virtual schooling or in-person schooling if you're lucky enough. As well as us returning to telework. I'm winding down the first week of my telework week. It's been interesting. And then just kind of, trying to figure out where is 2021 going to take us already. And I'm recording this on Thursday, the day after all of the riots and the protests is a really too soft of a word to say what was going on in the nation's capital. But like the wife and I were watching the news last night about all that stuff. That is just crazy. This is not a political show by any means, so I'm not going to get into that. I just saw, as we start to see things unravel, I do hope that calmness and peace and being able to just have actual conversations with the people are going to be able to, and we're going to have those, we need to have those conversations in the workplace as well and our community. And so as long as we have the conversations, it doesn't elevate to anything that gets into violent or unnecessary. I think it's important to have those conversations. So just please be out there, stay safe, and be a good human being. Don't be an asshole. #DBAA. So, speaking of settling into, the 2021 normal so far, I previously mentioned that I took on a new role as a new division chief of the Ops Integration Division here at JVHU Doden. And so it's a brand new team that is just it's a brand new administrative way of looking at the team. There's 3 separate teams that have grown since the end of 2019 and then eventually just kind of form all 3 of them became a very good, kind of started out as good ideas and actually came to fruition. And all 3 teams were firing on all cylinders and doing great things for the headquarters. And so a decision was made to formally make those things into a division, yet not have those be a direct report, kind of like individual cells to the J3, but make them into a division. And so I was selected to lead that division. And so while the ink is still, it's not even been applied as far as the reorg package and all that kind of stuff, all those things take time administratively to get this the team officially made a thing. However, the work that we have to do still needs to be done. And so I'm taking on that role and leading the teams accordingly as if the paperwork was accomplished. I think it's just, and my leadership agrees, it's just a formality. That being said, let's get the work done. And I'm expected to lead, so I will. So what I want to share this week was my approach to how am I going to, and I'm also in the middle of my 2-week quarantine, right? After returning back from leave last week. So the idea was, how am I going to start my leadership tenure right now as a new division chief for across 3 teams that already been, they've already been in operation for well over a year. And then how do I bring that team about together and then making sure that I'm more of a helping factor versus an interrupting factor. And so based on one of the previous, as I started talking about thinking about my approach, how to talk to the team, I want to share this week with you how I'm going about that. And so if you go into the episode details, you're going to see this email that I wrote and I copy pasted so you can look exactly. I'm going to go over those details, kind of talk about each paragraph that goes along. It's not a long and distinguished one. It's just a quick thing I think is going to be good to share with you to see a practical application of how I actually execute my previously established recommendations that I have. It's not even my recommendation. It's actually something from General Mattis, who actually got it from George Washington. And the idea is the principles of listen, learn, help, then lead. Okay? Listen, learn, help, lead. Those 4 tenets, I think, ended up kind of shaping exactly how I want to approach taking over my new team. And I'll share with you kind of like again, let me read through the email paragraph and I'll kind of break it down. So first off, I always start off my emails with a bluff because I think it's important for people to, just in case I get too long-winded, here's the actually important part of this email. So bluff. Actually, the subject line is J39 starting in January strong. Team, bottom line up front, business as usual, also known as kicking ass for the cross-functional team, threat assessment cell, and operations ops assessment cell. Those are the 3 teams within the division. But I'm excited for our collaboration to see where we can take J39 into 2021. Okay. So essentially what I want to tell them is like, hey, so I need all of you to continue doing the jobs that you've been doing because everyone needs you to continue to follow the path that you're on. But letting him know that I'm trying to see how we can take it. And that was important for me to use that word, where we can take the division into 2021. I'm very particular about the language that I use, especially on emails, as far as trying to be inclusive and making sure that it's not all about me. It's about us as the team. And so it's already, if I'm the division chief, obviously I'm the one in the lead. But I know that the ideas are going to come from all the teammates. And so I see it as a team sport. And so all of us have our different kind of responsibilities depending on where we're going to be sitting. I know where mine lies at, and I know how to help my team. And so I want to make sure that I'm going to be listening, or I'll go into those in a second, but I want to set that tone early. So that was my bluff statement. Okay. First paragraph. While the name J39 may be new, your respective teams and the great things you've accomplished isn't new. If anything, you've proven your worth to the headquarters to warrant a permanent position on staff. To bluntly put it, my initial goal is to catch up with all of you and listen and learn. Over the next couple of weeks, I'll schedule virtual sit-downs with your respective teams to gain your insight on how you get your work done. I notionally have some experience from my previous J34 position, but I'll take a fresh start perspective and just listen and learn. I'd also like to know where your teams share info and collaborate, as well as sit in on any existing Battle Rhythm events your teams participate in, just to get a feel of what's going on. Nothing fancy. Okay, so that was just the listen and learn piece of that phrase. It was important for me to understand that, like, I'm not coming in here guns a-blazing and looking to change anything right now, because arguably they're all doing the good work that's already been recognized. So it would be a disservice for me to come out there and interrupt stuff. I want to understand what's going on. I want to see the day-to-day. Like I said in that paragraph, I notionally have an idea of what they did, but I'm not going to say that, like, I didn't sit in on any of those previous Battle Rhythm events, so I need to sit down with them and just kind of learn and understand, like, what do they do? Where are their current weights of effort? What are the big event days for them? What are some of their friction points? And just kind of listening. I want to see exactly how they present information to me. I can ask questions, they can ask questions of me, whatever it is, but it should be a learning experience. And arguably, you're going to encounter lots of good officers, lots of good leaders in general who are going to take this approach of just kind of observing. You know, you can put a time, some people put a time frame on it, 30, 60 days, just that observation phase. And it is what it is. But I'm deliberately saying I'm going to be listening and learning. So not a lot of me talking, a lot of receiving in this direction, because I think it's important. I want to be able to come up with my own perspective of what I see going on, understanding I have a different perspective because it's not like a brand new employee to the team. I've been in these streets for a while, so I understand some of the intricacies and the friction points and all that stuff that go along with our headquarters. But I also want to hear them from a fresh perspective where they're at and what they're proud of. Right? I want to hear what they're passionate about, the things that they find most important to them. I'll be able to sense that in the conversations and stuff like that, because those are the parts that I want to understand. That way when we have follow-on conversations, I know which subjects are going to become, if you want to call it, more sensitive, but just ones that I want to pay attention to a little bit more. And so those are going to be part of that listen and learn kind of piece. And I think those two words are just very, very important. You come in there with a fresh perspective. There needs to be that level of respect that needs to be earned. I think within a military organization, you already have those two parts, right? You have the customs and courtesy piece. And so they're going to respect me as an officer, as the division chief. So that's already there. I don't need to do anything past that. But professionally. But as far as like making sure that I earn their respect as their leader, it's going to take me some time, and I need to earn those things. And so I'm going to try, my first approach to that is listening and learning. Okay. Second paragraph. Let me scroll down a little bit. Okay. After the listen and learn, I want to help and lead. For all the great things you've accomplished, I'm sure there is more to where you and our J2 and J3 leadership want to head. In addition to your contributions to operations, we have opportunity with our J39 ConOp and ConEmp, along with some of the key leadership engagements with our new Exter and incoming commander, to gain their buy-in on what our teams brings to the table and how to evolve and solidify our identity within JFHQ Doden. I personally think that this will be an easy sell, but we aren't going to waste the opportunity either. Okay, so this is where I want to be able to draw out some ideas and already kind of figure out where their ideas are going to be taking and where we need to how I can help get those things moving along. A lot of times it comes down to just knowing how to package it correctly and then being able to sell it to leadership as far as this is where I want to go forward, not necessarily asking for permission, but for asking that I'm just telling you what's going to be happening and getting vectoring back and forth from leadership. Because I believe through a lot of the interactions we have with leadership, we get the feedback a lot. And so I don't have to present so many detailed things to them. We can move forward with confidence because we've already had those consistent feedback cycles in the past. But the idea of saying I want to help and lead. So that help one is a very, very important piece as far as trying to earn the trust and respect of your teams as you take on new leadership responsibilities within them. You need to help them. You need to be able to just prove your mettle, the fact that you're not just taking up space and you're a certain block in an org chart. You need to help the team. You need to help everybody who's under your charge. And so I take that responsibility very seriously. I want to make sure that when I say help, it's helping whose equities, who priorities are my helping advance? Our teams, our leaderships, the headquarters at large. Those are going to be of being a helping factor versus a disruptive factor. There's times that you can be a positive disruptive, and I like being those kind of things. But the idea of just disrupting for the sake of disrupting and maybe taking everybody like four steps back, nobody wants to do that. So you have to be very particular about how you execute some of those helping. Small wins, again, just get on base. Don't swing for the fences all the time. But being able to help your team understand that they're going to build that trust in you, that you actually understand what are some of the concerns that they have. You understand what are their goals and how you can advocate for them and become a champion for them. That's what I want to do. And then finally, the underlying just leading across all things. I'm talking about leading across operations, leading across taking care of people, leading across recognition, promotion opportunities, trying to get someone ready for the next level, both whether that be military, contractor, civilian, whatever that happens to be. Just trying to understand what are some of their goals and how I can advance that, as long as they warrant them and they work hard for them. I'd be more than happy to give the opportunities for those who earn it the right place to advance within our team or whatever team they happen to be part of. And so by making sure that I'm planting the seeds of so I want to be here, and I'll be making sure I give everybody the top cover they need to advance as many goals as you want, as long as it's not at the detriment of anybody. I'm pretty sure we can get all these things done. And so it's time to work hard, but it's going to be worth it in the long run. I already have I didn't put it in the email, but I have some side meetings already scheduled with the J2 and J3 leadership to make sure that their vision and perspectives are being captured, and how I continue to lead the division. And that's good. That's just normal things you would do. If you're a squadron commander, you would be meeting with other group commanders to understand what are their priorities and how you can nest them within yours in the squadron to make sure that you're just making more teammates out there, right? You're getting more street cred. You understand it's not all about you. It's all about the team. And those are good, just kind of things I'm making sure that I stay grounded on as I take on my new role as this division chief. Some of the other things I mentioned that we have some key leadership turnover. So we have a brand new SES as our executive director who just came on board, and then we have Major General Skinner who will pin on his 3rd star in next month and to become the new commander of JFHQ Doden and DISA. And so I mentioned that because I want to drive a sense of urgency. I want to drive a sense of this is good. We have an opportunity to clear off all of the old things we want to get done. So in other words, old business that needs to be done and just solidified and buried. Let's get all that crap done and then get ready and let's carry ourselves as if we're not a new idea. We are a force. We are a division that exists, and we want to be leveraged accordingly, almost making ourselves indispensable within the entire headquarters because of the value that we bring and the teammates and the ideas and the energy that our team, and I know our team has. That's where I want to help build that positive momentum, that positive mindset to be like, no, we're not going to be are they a thing? We're a thing. We're so a thing that you can't even stop us can't stop, won't stop. We're going to continue to become a very important thing for the headquarters because it's the job that needs to get done. And I'm very proud to be surrounded by people who have that same mentality. And so just using that idea of building a sense of urgency, documenting, finding out here's our identity, here's what we do, and then on the same side, here's what we don't do, which is good. But making sure that we carve out whatever our identity is to make sure that here's where we go. That way we're moving forward with full confidence. Not to say that we're not going to make mistakes. Obviously we are, and things will evolve as they need to. But we're a team now. So let's act like a team. Let's conduct ourselves as a team, and we're going to succeed as a team. Okay. And then final two things here in the email. Two immediate admin things. We will start J39 staff meetings next week on Tuesdays. I'll send the calendar invite under separate cover. I intend this meeting to be 80% ops and 20% admin. I also don't intend to have any staff meeting slides unless you guys really want them. And I actually wrote use guys because I don't know why I do that. So part of this is understanding, like I picked Tuesday afternoons because that's the most non-interruptive time I saw within the week that gets us scheduled for the rest of the battle rhythm throughout the week. And so just trying to be respectful of everybody's time. I did some pre-cord before this and understood that nobody had a glaring conflict with that time frame. And so I'm going to use that. I keep my staff meetings to only 1 hour, and I know how to quickly run through these things to make sure they're value added. I don't like to waste a lot of people's time. Second piece is I'm also bringing over a product I previously used. Please begin to sketch out what are your current and projected priorities for the month of January. We consolidate and update these priorities monthly, and if anything, to keep track of what's going on and what has been accomplished. We can then use this as the informal agenda for our staff meeting. So all it is if you imagine just a spreadsheet for the month of January, and then for each branch, you just have you could have it in a prioritized order, weight of effort, whatever you want to call it. Just write down the tasks that you have. And then just as long as you have the title there, maybe a suspense date if it has something there, not a lot of detail. I just want like one line and that's it. And we use that as like just kind of reference points as far as when we have conversations. I try and be involved as much as possible to where I can smartly talk about it to my leadership, yet stay out of the way of my team. And I find myself, I can process information pretty quickly like that. And so the idea of trying to do the minimal administrative things as possible to try and maximize the amount of operational impact we can have, I'm always about that. The admin stuff is a necessary evil, but I will take on most of that workload if I can for the teams because I want them to focus on operations. And then throughout it all, and as far as the talent management, taking care of people, that's my job. And I'll continue to do that across everything and always be cognizant of that. And so those are the pieces that I said, probably in starting off for next week's staff meetings where I'm doing that, setting up exactly how we can have those continued conversations and collaborations as a team. And then finally, excuse me. Finally, here's how I ended it. Listen, learn, help, lead. These aren't my words, but rather from General Mattis. Pretty damn good words for J39 as well. Any questions or comments, please let me know. # can't stop, won't stop. It's a pretty straightforward email, right? I didn't do the character count, but I made it fit within one window. Don't want it to be too long. But I'm trying to set the precedent, trying to set the tone, a positive one, to be like, hey, I'm excited to join the team. I don't use a bunch of things where you owe me a bunch of stuff. It's we owe each other things. How can I help you, the team at large, become a better and stronger team and define our identity within the headquarters? And this is just the beginning of it, right? I wanted to do something early, even from a quarantine perspective of being not being able to come on. You miss that face-to-face kind of stuff, but even over email, you still have the ability and responsibility as a leader to try and set those tones and do something, right? I could have just started tasking them without any like context at all. That would be a dick move. Like, why would I do that? It's a whole thing of understanding and following through all the stuff. So I will be sending out my calendar invites for the virtual, the sit down, so I can understand, hey, what you want me to start sitting in on. It'll be easier when I get back to the office, but all those things I have to follow through on because that's what I'm talking about. My word is my bond. So, but I'm excited. I'm excited to see where I can do. I'm going to use those words: listen, learn, help, lead. That's just going to be it. And I know I've done this many times before, but it doesn't mean I don't get nervous. It doesn't mean I need to make sure I'm paying attention to it and just not go into autopilot. This is something I take very, very seriously. So for anybody you out there that are potentially coming up on a brand new team you're going to be leading, I really think you can use my example as something to just think about. I'm not saying you need to, by all means, emulate exactly what I'm doing, but just think about those words, think of my approach, and making sure you have the right intent of wanting to be a good teammate. Everyone knows you're in the lead. You don't have to remind them. They already know. Your job is to have that character and actually, talk the talk and walk the walk and be out there and doing those things to build the confidence, earn that trust of your team, because you're going to have to earn that if you want them to put in those long hours and understand what is their value to not only to the mission, but also just for them personally to understand their personal value, because all those things are important. So, quick and easy episode. I do hope that the rest of the stuff in the world kind of settles out. I know we have a couple more weeks until the inauguration. So, if you're in the NCR area, please stay safe. We'll see exactly what pops off. Hopefully, nothing. But for the rest of the Constant Elevation audience, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.